Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Gillian Berry, and today we have some amazing guests in store for you guys. We have Matt from Raw Intuition. He's been raw vegan for over 10 years, and we have Eli from the Free Melon Society. He is a 6-year fruitarian. And today we are talking about how to stay raw in the winter. I think this is a great topic. So many people love this lifestyle, but they say to me, Jill, I just can't do it because I feel freezing all winter. So we're going to tell you guys how we do this. I've been doing it for 6 years now as well. And let's get right into it. Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, Gillian.
Hey Matt.
What's up, guys? How
Hey
you doing out
Eli.
there? Hello,
So
hello.
I want to ask you guys before we start how going raw or fruitarian, Eli, has changed your life and why you do it.
Oh God, well, I mean, we could go on and on for days on that question just in general, but yeah, how it's changed my life. I mean, it's made my life simpler for one thing. I think that's the first thing I usually tell people. It's really simplified my life to no end, right? So way less to think about, and I just have to think about what I feel like having that day. And what I feel like having that day is just so easy to acquire just because, I live in Toronto. There are grocery stores everywhere. So I just pop in whatever's either in season or cheap or available, whatever, then that's what I'm eating. And it really is no more difficult than that. So that's one way that it's improved my life. And the other is obviously the health benefits. My health improved, my functioning's improved, everything's just improved. I got thinner, leaner, less encumbered, better respiration, better everything. So yeah, I mean, I could go on and on and on with how this has just generally improved my life. And there are things that it's changed in my life that are different, like friends change, socialization changes. Some people might see that as a disadvantage. It just depends on your orientation, just depends on your own mindset, depends on what is important, what's valuable for you, right? Where your hierarchy of needs and wants is. So for me, these things are all uh, beneficial changes in terms of where I rank certain things and where I rank certain values in my life. But yeah, definitely changes and fluctuations that you'll have to deal with when you make this transition. But yeah, I mean, full range from top to bottom. It's changed my life, in my opinion, all for the benefit. Some things, some people would say as, oh, that's not a benefit, like not eating at restaurants and that kind of thing. But for me, that's just part and parcel of adopting more responsibility for your health and wellness.
Well said. And what about you, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the same things Eli's experienced. My health has improved incredibly. I grew up with a lot of common health issues like asthma and eczema, and I had some depression going on in my teenage years. Switching to a raw vegan lifestyle completely flipped all that around. But I think that the thing that I really attribute most to when I think about the benefits that I've received, it really gave me just freedom, really freedom emotionally, mentally. It really freed up my mind to look at life in a new way. You know, I was very self conscious, very low self esteem growing up. And the clearing up my mind and my thought patterns through bringing in more raw fruits and vegetables, which I believe allowed me to emotionally detox out some of those self critical thought patterns. I mean, it really showed me a different way to look at life. And so, yeah, it just made me a happier person. It made me more confident in what I could turn my life into. And it also made me understand the power that I hold as an individual over my health and over how my life turns out. And so I think that has probably been one of the biggest things for me is just the mental and emotional side in addition to the health side. So.
Same with me too, mentally,
Right.
emotionally. And literally, like I've said it so many times on my channel before, but going raw, it's been the best thing to ever happen to me. And I had so many health problems, like mainly digestive problems, and it just fixed all of it. It's given me so much energy, cleared up my acne, and just been so life changing. And I want to ask you guys, so we all live in very cold climates. Like Eli and I are in Toronto, and we have really heavy winters. It's very cold, and we still manage to do it. And Matt is in Minnesota, and you get pretty cold, snowy winters as well. And when I was looking for other online influencers to do this video, it really came to my attention that there's not that many of us that are in the cold climates. A lot of people do move to
Mm.
like the warmer climates or the warmer states or in the tropics. If you guys who are watching can think of
Yeah.
others, then definitely comment them down below. I would love to know of them. I know there's a couple others, but there's not really too many. And a lot of people think it can't be done and think you're always freezing. So I would love to ask you guys like how you make this work and maybe what are a couple of the top tips that come to mind. And we can start with Eli. Do you want to start?
Okay, sure. Yeah. So how I made this work. Well, okay. The first thing to say, I guess, is that you know we we're living in very privileged times, right? We've got a lot of commonly available technologies that allow us to change our environment and allow us to live comfortably even when we're not in the tropics in our more natural environment, right? So when you've got things like heating in the house, clothes that you can wear, right? This, I don't, in my opinion, this already takes care of a lot of the problem, right? Let's just be honest. I mean, I can throw on my entire wardrobe and feel as hot as the sun, and wearing
Yeah.
everything if I wanted to, in the wintertime or summertime or whatever. You've got heating in the house that you can use, right? So there's that. There's obviously that, right? But I know that some people do find that they're getting colder in the wintertime, and I think I noticed that too when I first started out. And okay, so a general tip in terms of diet and eating, right? Is that what we're asking? So like a general
Yeah.
guideline in what you can how you can approach.
And like from your perspective as a fruitarian, because I know I have some
Mm,
fruitarian viewers too. Like, do
yeah,
you change your eating? Do you eat differently too in the winter versus eating in the spring or summer months?
right. Okay, yeah, that's a good question. I don't find particularly that I change my eating that much. My eating changes in the wintertime just as much as it changes in the summertime, all depending on what's cost effective for me to buy, what's available. So I mean, yeah, things different fruits go to season and into season at different times of the year. During in the fall, winter time, I'm having probably a lot more oranges. Okay, oranges, grapefruits, that kind of thing. Persimmon is a lot more abundant for us here in Toronto in the fall, winter time. It's coming from other places, right? Where you don't see it as much during the summer, but a lot of persimmon in the fall, winter. So I'll eat more of those in the winter because that's what's available at the stores. And then in the summer, other things are more available. Watermelons, all the different types of melons are more available. The mangoes are in season in the summer. So I'll eat more of those in the summer. And same thing with tomatoes. We're just coming out of the tomato season. I've been my kitchen is just unnaturally full of tomatoes right now because coming out of the tomato sauce making season, and so all the stores are selling these big, massive bushels of tomatoes, in the expectation that people are just going to be making sauce at home. But I stumble upon a bushel of tomatoes. It's like $8 for a massive bushel. That's food for a week, right? I just eat the bloody things. It's amazing. So my point is, I'm just naturally adapting to whatever's available and feasible for me to eat. And the wintertime looks exactly like that. I just adapt to the changes in what is available in terms of food. So I don't, I guess my answer is I'm not consciously making some sort of intellectual shift and like, okay, the wintertime has now befallen me. I must now eat a certain, I don't do that. It's just I'm just naturally making whatever change I would normally make. If halfway through the summer there was a radical shift in what was available, I would just shift with that, right? So Yeah, I don't necessarily change what I eat deliberately or intellectually in the wintertime because it's wintertime. Um, I would say though that if you did feel like you were getting a little bit chillier down in the bones, right? Then what you could do is just eat more, right? You could eat more often because if you're fasting, okay, so if you're doing any kind of fasting or cleansing, then you're probably going to be a little bit chillier, guaranteed, right? You go for like 24 hours without food, you're on a water fast, then you're probably going to be chillier. So the more often you eat, the more you're going to be ramping up your metabolism, and you're going to be generating a bit more heat, right? So you could try that approach if that's what you feel. You could also eat denser, more denser foods, more vegetables, right? If you add some more vegetables into the mix, you'll probably feel that your body heat's ramping up a little bit more because they're a bit more complicated to break down. So you could do that, right? Throw some carrots and radish, throw some beets into your into your salad with some raisins or whatever it is, right? So you could add like mixed salads or bigger bowls of vegetable matter and fruits into the mix as well. So you could try that. But generally speaking, yeah, for me it doesn't really change. It's just the natural ebb and flow, the natural flux that is available to me that I make when the winter time comes along.
Okay. Okay.
And
Those are
I'll give
great.
some other
Yeah.
ideas later on, but I'll let Matt give his
Yeah.
ideas here.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So completely agree with everything Eli just said.
Mm.
I think one of the big things for people should really be to change their mindset when it comes to this topic. People look at this as, I think, more of an issue than it really needs to be. And
Yeah.
they might put a little too much emphasis on diet to keep them warm. We can do things, as Eli mentioned, to kind of maybe raise our metabolism to generate a little more heat. But I would encourage people also to, especially if you're going to smoothies and things like this that might have some frozen vegetable or frozen fruits in there, do some jumping jacks or some push-ups or just a little bit of exercise to get your blood flowing and kind of get your body temperature to go up a little. So maybe kind of like some people like to refer it, earn your meals, to do a little bit of exercise before you have a meal, and that will kind of generate some body temperature. And then just staying fit, staying toned and muscular, because muscles are basically like the furnace of the body, right? So they help to give us a little more heat. And so if we make sure to, get in some physical activity on a regular basis and we keep our muscle mass, at a decent level, then we should have a little better time staying, a little bit warmer, especially in the winter months. And then, as Eli said, we have our homes that can keep us at a basically a tropical environment all year round if we need to. And so I would just say, yeah, make sure that you're keeping, your home at a comfortable temperature. Wear some extra clothing if you need to, and kind of use that as the foundation of keeping yourself warm in the winter months without necessarily thinking you have to rely on the food. But yeah, like again, like Eli said, you can eat denser foods.
Yeah.
Definitely increase maybe your salad consumption. Put in those different things. You can use some warming herbs or spices like cayenne pepper or ginger, things like this that people generally feel a little warmer when they're consuming. I would also say definitely take the food. If you typically eat food out of the fridge to make your meals, maybe take it out like an hour ahead of time so that it kind of has a chance to get up to room temperature. And that way, when you're eating it, it's not quite as cold, and that way it won't make your body feel quite as cold. So
Mhm.
kind of the basic things that I would kind of just initially start out with to kind of keep warm in the winter months, bigger salads. Maybe if you want to do a little more like nuts and seeds, or avocado, things like that. And yeah, just have a mindset that, I think, again, people make excuses, whether it's intentional or not, to find a reason that they can't do something.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Yeah.
if they change their mindset around, oh, I'm gonna feel so cold, I can't eat this way. um Looking at some opportunity, make it, challenge yourself to see how you can do with it. And yeah, it turns out where it's not usually as big of a challenge as a lot of people think it will be.
Yeah, those are great points too. And I want to ask you, Matt, like speaking about mindset, how do you keep your mindset right and like on track with the raw foods in the winters? And have you also, Eli, tried any, like, have you guys ever experimented and tried to have cooked foods in the winter or any soup? And how did that make you feel versus going all raw? So if you want to go ahead, Matt, with maybe the mindset and then how
Yeah.
if you've had any, and then I'll ask Eli.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest ways to keep a positive mindset is surrounding yourself with people that inspire you and that are doing things that you are striving to do. People that encourage you and push you to be better, or more in alignment with what you're trying to create in your life. So it'd be easy to be around just everyday, standard American people that are going to tell you that what you're doing just isn't going to work in the winter. But if you're I mean, even just people online like Eli and yourself, having you guys on my YouTube channel, watching your guys' videos helps me to keep that positive mindset and more focused on the goals that I'm trying to achieve. So I think the people you surround yourself with, the energy you surround yourself with, is one of the biggest factors in terms of how your mindset is developing. And so, yeah, just the top 5 people in your circle are going to be one of the main factors in how your mindset plays out.
Great points. Great points. Do you have anything to add with the mindset stuff, Eli?
Yeah. When I first started out doing this, I can tell you right away that staying warm during the winter time was literally the last thing on my mind. It's not even something that came up. It's just because with me, and I talk about the same thing all the time, and this feeds right into what Matt was saying about mindset, is that my I was really setting my integrity, right? And my mindset was, okay, Eli, you've learned such and such and such and such, and now we're going to put that into print. We're going to put that into action. Excuse me. And so, in putting it into action, I started to live in accordance with what I'd come to understand. And just because the winter rolled around, it didn't really change much of that because I already knew what I was supposed to be doing. So I just kept doing that. And if there did come a time where I was a little chillier or whatnot, then it was the simple approach. Oh, yeah, do some exercise. Oh, take a warm shower. Oh, throw on a sweater. Wear a sweater to bed, right? Wear some long johns to bed on this particularly cold night. Sure, whatever, right? Just like, but it's just food never came into the picture. It was never, oh, I have to do a food fix in order to change myself. No, that was the last thing, right? You can make little fluctuations and changes if you want. Sure, you can throw some ginger on the pot and make some ginger tea if you want. Hot water. You could try just hot water if that's going to help you in the morning instead of whatever. Tea in general, teas are going to give you a temporary fix, but yeah, these are not things that were presently on my mind. It was everything else that was more important. So the mindset of what the real values are there, and I wasn't going to compromise that just because I felt a little chilly, right? One day, so, you know what I mean? Yeah,
And
that's
like you said, it hasn't been an issue for me either. I remember when I first went raw,
yeah.
it was in September in 2016.
Mhm.
And then the winter came around. It literally wasn't even a thought for me or an issue at
Yeah.
all. Yeah, but I think it's you
Mhm.
guys have both had great points. And I think with like for a lot of people having a little bit more fats or going with what's in season, like having the citrus or the
Mhm.
apples rather than having things like watermelon, which will have like a cold effect on your body.
Yeah.
And Eli, you
Yeah.
talked about tea. A lot of people bring up tea with me. I personally don't consume tea. I don't have anything against tea. I just don't consume
Mhm.
it. Maybe I will in the future. But a lot of people ask me, is tea
Yeah.
still raw vegan? So is it technically still raw vegan if people want to? I just say consume what makes you feel good, whether it has a label or not, right? But is it still raw vegan? Do you guys
Mhm.
think it's raw vegan or like what's the deal with tea?
Okay, it's a good question because you're applying heat, right? You're applying heat to, well, depending, right? Depending. Sometimes you boil the water and then you stop you cut off the heat and then put the materials in and then you just let everything simmer a bit. And so it diffuses into the water. The essences diffuse into the water. Other times you might actually boil more denser materials. So sometimes you might actually let cinnamon, like a cinnamon bark, boil for a bit, or any kind of other bark, boil for a little bit, then let it simmer, and and get your extract there, I should say. When we say tea, I'm not referring to the traditional teas like caffeinated teas. Okay, so I'm not talking about those. Those I would not include in the diet. Period. Right. I would not include any caffeinated anything. So the green teas and black teas, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about just herbal teas, like anything that doesn't have caffeine. That's what we're talking, or what I'm talking about. So, is it raw vegan? I wouldn't. I wouldn't have too much of an issue with it because same. It's not something that I do often at all in my life, but I wouldn't be too worried about it. Like if I have had a tea in the past, it's not something that I'm judging myself over or whatnot, because you're not actually eating the food material that has been broken down by heat or changed by heat. You're drinking the water that has only taken on the essence of the thing, so you're not actually getting that broken down fibrous material right into your body, which I think makes a big difference, right? So in that sense, I think it's okay. I'm sure it's fine, but it's one of those things where if we bog ourselves down with the label of I am raw vegan, then sometimes that can
Mhm.
just it can interfere with your ability to just organically live comfortably, right? Obviously, what we're doing is we're using that as a guideline to steer us in the direction of better choices, better life choices. But if you're so dogmatic that a ginger tea, makes you like stress out, like, oh, did I just break my 6 month trend of raw veganism? Oh no, like,
Yeah.
okay, that's
Yeah, I
that's not
think
a
we can
healthy way
drive
to live.
ourselves crazy with that, to be honest.
Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
drive yourself nuts. You'll drive yourself nuts. I
Yeah.
I consider myself a fruitarian. I just made a video on this. It's not up yet, but it'll be up in a bit. If I'm offered a carrot and I eat a carrot, I'm not going to be thrown into consternation that I've destroyed my raw fruitarian diet. Right? You
Yeah.
know, we got to be realistic here. So yeah, that's what I would say about tea. I don't exactly know the right answer. I'm just
Mhm.
saying how I would frame it in my mind.
And I think some people like simmer it on really low for like a long time. Like
Yeah,
they heat it up
yeah,
like lower, the herbal teas. I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You can definitely make it more closer to raw than other ways of preparing tea for sure. If you're
Yeah.
if you're really concerned. So I
Yeah.
don't know, Matt. What do you think about that? And these are just my ideas.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would say, personally, I don't get too concerned about these little tiny details. Like, yeah, if
Yeah,
you're eating a raw vegan diet, a healthy raw vegan diet, and you're using some warm tea, personally,
yeah,
I that's gonna have zero negative effect. I
yeah,
Yeah.
think if it's
yeah.
you feel comfortable eating this way, then personally I would say go all out with it. Like don't stress about it. Don't worry about the label, as Eli said. I think that is where
Yeah.
people get in trouble, is when they kind of put themselves in a box, and it's like a prison cell. They have
Yeah.
to one thing, even if it's not necessarily practical for the situation they're in, right? So they try to stick to some standard that they've been given by somebody else, as to what diet and lifestyle they should live, without practically applying it in a way that's going to benefit them long term. So you
Mhm.
know
Yeah.
very practical with my approach to eating this way and living this lifestyle.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't see any problem with adding that in. But if you do want to have tea, it wouldn't necessarily be to keep you warm. But if you want to have tea and you don't necessarily want to, you know, possibly alter the chemistry of it at all, you could do like
Hmm.
sun tea. You just leave it in the sun, put it in the window in the sunlight, and some people do it that way. Instead
Wow.
of boiling the water,
Mm.
they maybe put some hibiscus in a big thing of water in a glass jug, and you leave that in the window, and the sun hits
Mm.
it all day, and then yeah, that's one way that you could do that if you didn't want to boil it. But I don't see a problem with doing either one.
Yeah.
Another thing that just popped in my mind as I was listening, you know, when somebody's hot, say it's summertime, when you're really hot, is like your first inclination to go have some food to make you cool? No.
Mhm.
You think like, all right, it's like 100 degrees out. What food can I eat to cool myself down? No, I think they're gonna go like in their house to the air conditioning, or they're gonna put on less clothing. So I think we need to look at this in the same way as we
True.
were
That's true.
like, we don't necessarily, the first thing that we think of is to what diet we're going to choose or what foods we're going to eat, right? So
Yeah.
I think, again, like, using the food, which we can do some things with it, but there's other lifestyle factors that can probably help us out quite a bit more.
Yeah. But you know what? In the summer, I do feel like the raw foods do cool me down a bit more. Like you eat the watermelons and you eat the stuff, and I feel like I don't get quite as hot as everybody else. Or I don't know if it's just because like I love the heat. Like there's no such thing as too hot for me. Even when I lived in Costa Rica, and I don't know if it's the raw foods or what, but like you'll never find me
Yeah.
ever say, "Oh, this day is too hot." Even if it's like 40
Yeah.
or 45 degrees, I'm not going to
Yeah.
complain about it. But yeah, those are great points. And I just want to
Mm.
backtrack to the tea for me personally. When I've tried tea, like I love tea, but it just makes me feel more dehydrated for some reason when I've like boiled a tea and had it. So that's
Mm.
why I don't consume teas. But I think like there's so many nutrients, and I'm all about everyone doing what makes you feel good, no matter what box it fits into. Just do what makes you feel good. And if it doesn't make you feel good, and you do it anyway, then try not to beat yourself up. Just do what makes you happy. And like over the years, I have in the winters a few years ago tried like having a little bit of cooked foods, especially early on when I went raw. Not the first winter, I don't think, maybe the second, third, I forget, but I did try some cooked soups and I just did not feel as good. Like I lost like that high vibe energy, and I just it was more hard to digest and made me dehydrated. So I didn't feel as good. So for me, I'd rather like
Mhm.
eat the raw living foods and feel a bit colder sometimes and do that. That's why I don't eat them in the winter. But have you guys tried cooked foods over the years in the wintertime and like experimented with that? And what's been
Mm.
your guys' experience with that?
Sure. I guess I'll chime in first. So, super quickly, I can relate to teas dehydrating you a bit, at least in my experience. If I had a tea in the evening, then for some reason, I would feel a little bit drier in the next morning. So I can relate to that as well. That's all I'll say about it. Just thought I would add that in. Yes, yeah, I've definitely done like the cooked food experiments here or there, and same thing, right? If it's in the wintertime, like squash. Okay, squash, all the squashes all of a sudden start coming out in the fall time, in the winter time, right? I've done the experiment. Okay, well, what happens if I just do like a simple cooked meal of just squash, right? Or just carrots, like just baked carrots or something. And yeah, they're great, but I definitely feel the same thing. something changes. Like your mind changes a bit the next
Mhm.
day, the body changes. There's these changes that you, at some level, you detect as not as fantastic,
Mhm.
not as excellent as how you felt. And sometimes it can be really difficult to describe what that is. Sometimes it's so subtle that you couldn't even put it into words. It's just like, oh, I don't know, I don't feel as good, or I just don't feel as good. And so yeah, I have the exact same experience when I have made those little experiments, right? I will say that, and I don't know if you were going to get to this, so whatever. I'll just say it now. One reason that people might be feeling this a bit more profoundly than some other people is, you have to remember, if you're anywhere in the year time stretch where you've transitioned from a more regular standard diet to a raw food diet, okay, and you're in that year state, it very well could be that your body is still in flux. It's still trying to balance out all of the stimulants that it was getting, right? Because the way that the standard Canadian, American, European, Australian diet works is that the great bulk of stuff comes in, it's highly stimulating, whether it's oils, sugars, salts, concentrated foods, whatever it is, right? These are very metabolically stimulating. So once those leave the picture and you're on the raw food diet, it can take your body some time to reclaim its efficiency, to reclaim its ability to start generating heat under its own power rather than relying on food to do it for itself, right? So you got to remember that it might take you a good chunk of time before you start to be a bit more comfortable in cold situations on a raw food diet, right? It might just be temporary that you're feeling that chilly or that cold. Give yourself some cleansing, give yourself some time, give yourself some consistency with those proper lifestyle values and proper lifestyle approaches, and you might find by year 2, year 3, all of a sudden it's now something that you're not really thinking about as much. So I just
Mhm.
wanted to give that 2 cents in there as well.
Mhm. Great points. Great points.
Yeah.
Yeah, great points. Yeah, so personally, I have as well done, some cooked food in the winter time. And, personally, I again, like, over the last few years, I've kind of relaxed a little bit about including a little bit of food. Now, I also experience the exact same things that you guys have been, lower, like, yeah, it's my mental acuity kind of decreases a little bit. I feel a little, not as energetic, and
Yeah.
it's like immediate. Like right after
Yeah.
I eat, I can
Yeah.
really, my body, it's either using more energy to digest what I just ate and takes away from, my mental ability or whatnot. But yeah, so if I do eat cooked food, it's always whole foods. It's like pressure cooked sweet potatoes or carrots or things like that that are just added to a massive raw salad, right? So if I ever do have cooked food, it's never by itself. It's always with salad, because I find that, if I eat a cooked meal by itself, which I've maybe done probably less than 5 times over the last decade, it just does not, it digests awfully or awful.
Mm,
So if I eat it with a big leafy green salad, it tends to digest so much better, almost, to the point where I don't notice it as much that I had cooked food. So
yeah.
yeah, so I think that, again, people, and the people that I've worked with also, very few of the people that I've worked with want to be 100% raw.
Mhm.
They To give them just the most sustainable way to make this lifestyle practical and, lifelong if possible, allowing them to feel comfortable with adding in just a little bit of cooked food to their big dinner salad, I know has helped a lot of people with, winter months, and just getting through any times like in between seasons where, maybe their produce selection isn't that great. And that's kind of the approach that I take as well. Like if I'm between seasons, like especially in like November, it seems to be one of the worst times for quality fruit around here in
Mm.
Minnesota. I'll steam up or pressure cook some sweet potatoes or potatoes and um, maybe some frozen corn or something,
Mm.
organic carrots, mushrooms, just things like this that are easy to steam up and just toss into a salad and just, compromise when needed within certain boundaries, right? So I'm not going out, getting like an impossible burger or some other,
Have you guys ever tried one of those? I've never tried one of those. The Beyond Meat or the no, yeah, me neither.
no.
Really? Oh wow! All three
No.
of us. I've never tried any of that either.
Wow, taste test coming up. No, I'm kidding.
No, stop it! Stop
Yeah.
it!
I think that
Um,
it's important to have your boundaries set, right? So if
Yeah.
you are going
mhm.
to deviate away from 100% raw, I think it's so important to have your boundaries set to where you're not going to go way offline, right? You're just going to have
Yeah.
maybe like steamed potatoes that you put in your salad
Exactly.
or whatever makes you feel the best,
Exactly.
without getting too far off track. So
Yeah.
That's a
yeah,
good point with the
Yeah.
boundaries because I think
Yeah.
sometimes with some people you go with one thing before you know it, you're going with another thing. Before you know it, you're drinking wine every day. You're back on coffee. You're going
Right.
through a drive-through and you're just like, screw it. And then you're like, wow, I feel like crap.
yeah.
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 So that's a great tip about the boundaries. And what do you guys think about cleansing in the winter? I know for me, like I think like you were saying, Matt, in November, maybe the produce doesn't look so great. When I did a 37-day juice cleanse, it was in like I started in mid-November and it was amazing because even though maybe the produce
Hmm.
isn't so great that time of year, you juice those greens and they're amazing. Or like you juice the citrus, get cases of coconut water. So for me personally, I love if anybody wants to do a juice cleanse. I love the winter for that because in the summer too, it's hard to like see all the fruits and veggies at the farmer's market and think just I'm going to
Yeah.
juice right now and not eat them because they're just so I like that. What do you guys think about that?
Hmm. There's a very interesting correlation between that, what you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
cleansing during the winter time, and just grand cycles in general, right?
Mm,
It seems that, okay, like the sleep wake cycle, so you go to sleep, and in during sleep there's an internal process that's happening, and then when
mm-hmm.
you wake up there's an external process that goes on, right? So the healing, restorative, regenerative female process, the female polarized process happens during sleep, and then the external, the active, the male principle is going on during the daytime. You see that reflected in the wintertime and the summertime, right? In the wintertime, all the vegetation goes to sleep, right? It's resting. It's an internal process of cleaning,
Mm-hmm.
restoration. And in the summertime, things flourish again. It's the active principle, right? So very often, sometimes people don't even recognize that this is happening, but very often during the wintertime, there's an effect on our mind where we fall in line with that sometimes, where the wintertime is like this internal process, it's this introspective process. We start thinking of new business ventures, new lifestyle things that we can engage in. And then springtime comes around, summertime comes around, and then that starts to express, right? Sometimes in the wintertime, we make intellectual changes and emotional changes. And in the summertime, we make physical changes. That's when we start to get more active, and
Mm-hmm.
we take on a new hobby, right? It's very interesting. There is this relationship between this grand principle of rest and wakefulness,
Hmm.
internal, external. So the point in me saying that is that, yeah, I think the wintertime would be a good time to do your cleansing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then in the summertime is a good time to do more of, like, okay, now you can eat a bit more liberally in line with your restrictions, with your natural restrictions, right? And that would align you very well with that type of ebb and flow of how energies just work on the planet. right? So it would put you in a good position to be harmonized, right? Harmonized with that. So yeah, sometimes people have a difficult time cleansing on a raw food diet during the summer, because during the summer all the wonderful fruits are in season and the smells are just hitting you. You go to the market, all these colors are just blasting you in the face, like, oh my god, how can I stick with either just juice or just this fruit when all this stuff is all over? And then wintertime comes along, a lot of that starts to calm down. Yeah, maybe now that's a good time to like, okay, maybe I'll do a little fast now, do a little juice cleanse now, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say that's a good time. That's a good time to do a cleanse, is when you're in the rest portion of the year. And then when you're in the active portion of the year, yeah, then you can have fun and you can do all your external activities, right? If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that, Matt?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. That's actually when I seem to do the most of like my, if I'm going to do like an extended fast or something, it tends to be towards like fall, winter time. And yeah, because it's just, it feels more in alignment with the energy of the season, I suppose. And, yeah, winter time is kind of a time to hibernate a little bit and kind of do some introspection and just some, house cleaning, I suppose, internally. And so, yeah, I think wintertime is, personally for me, has been the best time to do more intensive cleansing. And yeah, so I completely agree.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. And another
Cool.
thing that I think works great in the winter is with your Vitamix. If you guys have a Vitamix, like for me, like if I make lately or even in the winter, my favorite tomato sauce, it's like vine tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, sun-dried tomatoes, a little bit of salt, optional salt and pepper, dried oregano, dried basil. And then if you just heat it on high, like for a bit, like it warms it up really good without like cooking it, right? And then it's warm, and then you mix it into your zoodles, and it's like a warmer dish. And I like what Matt said too about like leave your produce on the counter. And I think with water too, it's a big thing for me, like drinking room temperature water in the winter versus like cold water. But it is all like what you guys were saying too about how active you are. So like if you're drinking like ice cold water or a freezing smoothie and you're just sitting there, like you're gonna get cold. Do you know what I mean? But it's like a huge difference if you're active or even just moving around, cleaning the house, drinking your smoothie. It doesn't affect you like the freezing cold smoothie or whatever. Or like you go out. I do a lot of sledding in the winter with my kids, and like I just bring like blueberries, walnuts, apple snacks, and like I'm totally fine because we're just moving around, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it for all the tips I can think of. And you guys gave so many amazing tips as well. If there's anything else that comes to mind or like any encouragement you guys have for any of the viewers or like anything at all, then please definitely feel free to share it before we end off.
I would say that also keep in mind, oh yeah, I can't believe I didn't mention this. Okay, last thing. Your body's always going to respond to the conditions that you give it, right? If cold is an issue, then what you can do is use the same approach that you'd use with basically any other challenge that you'd encounter in life. Give yourself micro doses of that challenge so that you can get better at dealing with it. Your body will learn. So we're in the habit of showering pretty often, right? The typical North American culture, European culture, we generally have showers and baths available to us, and we do it fairly often. Challenge yourself with 30 seconds of cooler water at some point in the middle of your warm shower. Maybe have your warm shower for 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Okay, the last 30 seconds, a minute, maybe use some colder water. See what that feels like. Do it again next time you shower. Do it again next time you shower. Increase it to a minute and 30 seconds, right? 90 seconds, whatever. Maybe make the water a little cooler this time. You get the idea. Just play with it. What you find is your body will get better at keeping you warm with the challenge of cold, right? Your body will always respond to a stress, a hormetic stress, positively for you, as long as you don't overdo it, right? So that's something you can try. I just wanted to add that to the picture, right?
Have you ever done one of those cold plunges or cold baths?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've definitely I've done them many times, and yeah, they're cool. Like, I mean, they're cool. Sorry, excuse the pun. They're very interesting. It's very interesting. and it can be very therapeutic. I've done it for work purposes as well. There are times when I've just been so obliterated from work, and I know that I have to work the next day at a high level of efficiency as well. And it's like, oh God, save me! All right, I'm gonna have to do an ice bath. That's the only way I'm gonna recover well. And so you do it, and man, the stuff works. It really does. But yeah, it's something that you have to you have to work yourself up to. But no, I've done it many times.
Well, amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah,
Have you done it,
yeah.
Matt? And do you have anything to end off with?
I've never done like a polar plunge where I jump into like the lake or something like that in the middle of the winter. But I have done cold showers. You know, at the end of my shower, I'll turn the cold water on for a few seconds, and yeah, it's super invigorating. I love it.
Yeah.
Same time, I hate it. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
yeah.
it feels it's not the greatest experience during, but once you're done with it, it feels so good. So yeah, it's definitely something that's such a great point also to bring that up, to condition your body with things like that to help you, you know, like you would condition your body with anything else. So yeah, great point. Yeah, I think the thing that I would end off with, and you know, kind of what I've already said, but you know, just when it comes to some of these things where, you know, if you're struggling to be raw in the winter, or to stay warm, you know, just be as practical as, you know, you can, that it's going to allow you to sustain a healthy diet and lifestyle, you know, consistently, because consistency is the key.
Yeah.
You know, if you back and forth between different things, a lot of times that throws people off in the wrong direction. So if you can find your, you know, boundaries that are going to keep you feeling really, really healthy, keep your mind clear, you know, you're not putting in crazy processed foods or anything like that. And maybe if you need to add in some steamed vegetables to a raw salad or something like that, don't feel bad about having to do that. You know, we're not living in ideal situations, right? So the climate that we're in is not ideal. So, you know, it's understandable if you need to use a few compromises to keep you on a consistent path without doing too many ups and downs. Now that shouldn't be used as an excuse though, right? So always strive to do your best and do what you feel is the healthy thing for you to do. But, you know, again, life is a journey. It's not, you know, if you're having some steamed vegetables today and your ultimate goal is to be raw, you know, fully raw, then just continue to work towards that, and don't think that everything has to happen overnight, you know? So be practical with your approach, and, you know, have compassion for yourself and the situation that you're in, and just do your best. And one last thing that I didn't mention before is, you know, take advantage of, you know, Asian markets in the winter. You can get more tropical fruits that they offer there, because I have found that the more tropical fruits that I consume, the better I feel, the easier it is to, you know, maintain this lifestyle, and the more enjoyable it is. So yeah, just don't think that you have to stick to just your standard grocery store. If you have an Asian market or, you know, something like that in your area, definitely check that out for some added fruit selection during those months.
Great points. And I just think more than ever, like, especially in this fast-paced world we live in the winter, I feel like we need more energy than ever now, right? It's like, at least I do, with getting my kids and like their 16 layers of clothes, their boots. Many people have to shovel outside, you know, the shoveling, the heavier walking in the snow. So it's like we need more energy, and the raw foods, they really do that. So even if you don't want to be fully raw vegan, just even incorporating so many more raw living foods will just do wonders and so much for your life. And I just want to say too, I can't emphasize enough. Like, I know Matt and Eli, we were talking about the spices. They do so much. And I really discovered that the last few years. One of my favorite things is just like have an avocado or half an avocado with some cayenne all over it, some lime, some sea salt. It's delicious, and it really warms you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this has
Yeah.
been great. I love you guys. I will link your channels down below. Everybody go follow Matt at Raw Intuition. Go follow Eli at the Free Melon Society. They are regulars on the channel. I think they're awesome, and I know you guys will as well, and you do as well. So go follow them. I will put their links below, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give it a big thumbs up right now. Make sure you subscribe for more videos just like this one, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.